was a joint idea between Tricia Diggins, who's the senior horticulturalist for the Botanic Gardens, and me. I mean, we've just grown it over the last 4 years trying to implement mystical trees idea. It's the first time it's trees in song, but we have done 3 other mystical tree tours. First one was Celtic, and there's all kinds of great traditions, just neat ceremonies, rituals around trees that come from that tradition, and we have a lot of the trees that were figured very prominently in those. So that was the initial one, and we really got into that. We had some pagan rituals and all kinds of fun things. And then the second one was East Asian. We share a similar climate with a lot of areas of East Asia, so we have a lot of East Asian trees in the Botanic Gardens here. And there's some really neat ceremonies of lighting candles and letting them float on the pond here, and then different trees having different meanings. There's this ritual called forest breathing, where people in Japan would go into the forest and breathe deeply, and it's supposed to be a real healthful thing. We had the Buddhist advisor leading a meditation under these cypress trees. Just had a really neat Eastern flavor. And then last year we did Native American trees and some of the rituals associated with that. So those are our 3 themes so far. We figure if we have 4 themes, students are here for 4 years, then we can start back again at the first one and see how that goes.
Christina Jones, who's our wonderful director of the greenhouses and horticultural studies here, asked me, well, I should send out a kind of a plea, a general plea to the faculty, anybody or students that have an instrument they'd like to play, to be part of this very interesting event of the Mystical Tree tour this evening, to volunteer their services. So I was very happy to do that. Yeah, that's true.
They're called Sakura in Japan, and they're very important in Japanese culture. They're planted outside most of the public institutions, and the school year and fiscal year begin in April when the cherry trees bloom. There's a special cultural practice known as hamani, when people go out and view the flowers, and they're seen as very beautiful and representing the ephemerality of life.
That's the Maple Leaf Rag by Scott Joplin, and we are here at the Red Maple Tree. Many, many gallons of maple sap go into just a little bit of maple syrup. It's a major distillation process. All around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel.
Mulberry trees are also the only food of silkworm caterpillars, so they're very important in the production of silk, for understandable reasons. They're originally Asian trees, but they've lived in Europe for several centuries. You can eat the fruit, and the fruit is often made into jams and cakes and things like that. Cakes, pies, and things like that. And a final fun fact about the mulberry, the sap that comes from their leaves and from their trunks is actually hallucinogenic, which you should not use for recreation during your time at Wellesley College.
So this is the American linden tree, and it's a desirable shade tree because it's so large and the leaves are really big. There's a really famous street in Berlin that's lined with linden trees because there's also a native European linden, and it's called the Street Under the Linden Trees. And actually the linden tree is very prominent in Romanian poetry as a symbol of true love. On the other side of that, you use linden tree as an adjective in the Russian language to describe something disingenuous, not built well. So there's actually a very famous song, the Numa Numa song, that really took off on YouTube, and it's a Romanian song, and people aren't sure if he meant to say that love under the linden trees is romantic, or perhaps just unbelievable and kind of unreliable. So dual meanings. No one really knows why the song is called Love Under the Linden Trees. Two different theories. But
I guess it could be both.
Yeah, definitely.